On May 13th, a critical announcement could directly impact the wallets of over 72.5 million Americans who depend on Social Security benefits. If you're one of them, you'll want to pay close attention. In today's video, we're breaking down exactly what this upcoming inflation report means for your future benefits, why the April numbers could significantly affect your 2026 payments, and how the Federal Reserve's response might impact your everyday expenses. Stay with us to the end to discover not only how these inflation trends might boost your monthly checks, but also our analysis of what realistic COLA increases you should actually expect in the coming years. Welcome to Financial Area, where we bring you the most important updates that affect your financial security. If you find this information valuable, hit that like button and subscribe to never miss our timely updates on Social Security SSDI, SSI, and VA benefits. Mark your calendars for May 13th. That's when the Bureau of Labor Statistics will release the Consumer Price Index report for April, a report that holds significant importance for over 72.5 million Americans receiving Social Security benefits. This isn't just another government announcement. It's a critical piece of data that directly influences how much money will be in your pocket in the coming years. The April inflation report is particularly significant because it's one of the monthly figures that feeds into the calculation for next year's cost of living adjustment, or COLA. This adjustment is designed to ensure that your benefits keep pace with rising prices in the economy. Without these adjustments, the purchasing power of your benefits would steadily decline over time, leaving you with less ability to cover essential expenses. What makes this announcement especially noteworthy is the current economic context. We've seen inflation running higher than the historical average over the past couple of years. While it's come down from the peak levels we saw in 2022, prices are still rising faster than the Federal Reserve's target rate of 2%. For Social Security recipients, whether you're on retirement benefits, SSDI, SSI, or VA benefits, this announcement will provide crucial insights into what you might expect for your benefit adjustments coming in 2026. Remember, the government doesn't adjust your benefits on a whim. They follow a specific formula based on these inflation reports. If you're one of the millions of Americans living on a fixed income, even a small percentage change in your monthly benefits can make a significant difference in your financial stability. That's why understanding these numbers is so important for your personal financial planning. Let's take a closer look at the inflation trends and what they might mean for future COLA adjustments. Over the past 18 months, we've seen inflation gradually moderating from the highs of 2022, but still persisting at levels that continue to strain household budgets. The Consumer Price Index, which measures the average change in prices paid by urban consumers for a basket of goods and services, has been particularly affected by rising costs in three key areas: food, shelter, and healthcare. These are precisely the categories that tend to hit seniors and disabled individuals the hardest, as they make up a larger percentage of their monthly expenses. March's inflation report showed that prices rose by 3.5% compared to the same month last year. That's higher than the Federal Reserve's target of 2%, indicating that inflation pressures remain in the economy. The April report will tell us if this trend is continuing, accelerating, or finally beginning to cool off. To understand how this affects your benefits, let's break down how the COLA actually works. The Social Security Administration calculates the annual COLA based on the percentage increase in the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, or CPIW, from the third quarter of the previous year to the third quarter of the current year. This means that the inflation data from July, August, and September are the numbers that ultimately determine your benefit increase for the following year. The April report we're discussing is an early indicator of where that third quarter measurement might land. In January 2024, Social Security recipients received a 2.5% COLA increase. This was notably lower than the 8.7% adjustment in 2023, which was the largest increase in over 40 years. That historic raise came in response to the dramatic inflation spike we experienced post-pandemic. While it's still too early to make precise predictions about the 2026 COLA, based on current trends, it seems unlikely we'll see another 8.7% increase. However, if inflation continues at its current pace or accelerates, we could potentially see an adjustment higher than this year's 2.5%. Most economic analysts are currently projecting a 2026 COLA in the range of 3% to 3.5%, but the April report will give us a clearer picture. For perspective, a 3% increase would mean an extra $51 per month for the average Social Security recipient currently receiving $1,700 monthly. That's an additional $612 per year to help cover rising costs. Beyond the direct impact on your benefits, the April inflation report carries broader economic implications. The Federal Reserve closely watches these inflation numbers to make decisions about interest rates, which affect everything from mortgage rates to credit card fees to the overall health of the economy. If inflation remains elevated in the April report, the Fed may be less likely to cut interest rates in the near term. This would mean continued higher borrowing costs for consumers, which can be particularly challenging for those on fixed incomes who might need to finance major purchases or who carry credit card debt. On the other hand, if inflation shows signs of cooling, it could signal that rate cuts might come sooner, potentially providing some relief in terms of borrowing costs. However, there's a delicate balance here. While lower interest rates might make borrowing cheaper, they could also potentially reignite inflation if the economy overheats. For those relying on Social Security benefits, it's important to prepare for various scenarios. Consider reviewing your budget to identify areas where you might be able to reduce expenses if inflation continues to rise. Look for fixed costs you can potentially lower, such as insurance premiums or subscription services. It's also worth exploring whether you qualify for additional assistance programs beyond your regular benefits. Programs like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, Medicare Savings Programs, or the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, can provide valuable support to help stretch your benefits further. Local community resources can also offer assistance. Many areas have senior centers, food banks, and community action agencies that provide services specifically designed for older adults and those with disabilities. These resources can be particularly helpful during periods of economic uncertainty. For those who are concerned about the adequacy of their benefits in the face of rising costs, there are also advocacy organizations working to protect and enhance Social Security. Groups like AARP, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, and others advocate for policies that would strengthen these vital programs. Remember that while the May 13th announcement is important, it's just one piece of data in an ongoing economic story. The full picture of how inflation will impact your 2026 benefits won't be clear until later this year when the third quarter numbers are finalized. In the meantime, staying informed about these economic indicators and understanding how they relate to your benefits is one of the best ways to prepare for whatever changes may come. That's why we at Financial Area are committed to bringing you timely, accurate information about developments that affect your financial security. The April inflation report might not make headlines in the mainstream media, but for those 72.5 million Americans who depend on Social Security benefits, it contains vital information that directly impacts daily life. When that report is released on May 13th, we'll be here to break down what it means for you in plain language. If you found this information helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos regularly with updates on Social Security, SSDI, SSI, and VA benefits to help you stay informed and financially secure. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.